This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs. Hey everyone, Egman here with another video, and today we're going to look at one of my favorite archetypes from BT5, LilithLoop, and all the updates that it's going to have with the new cards coming out in BT6. At first I didn't think there were a lot of cards that'd be added to it, but I was wrong. It kind of shapes a different version of the list in general, which I think is really, really cool. So we're going to talk about those cards, and at the end there's going to be an example deck list. If you just care about that, you can skip to the end as well. But let's just jump on into it. So we first get a new Digi-Egg with Sunomon. Has a your turn once per turn. When you trash a card in your hand using one of your effects, you trigger draw one. At first I didn't think this was better than Demi-Marimon, but you can definitely build around it and make it super duper good. So I like the card as well. I think it will be a 4-1 split for 4 Sunomons and 1 Demi-Marimon, but kind of the ideas and the decks that I've been building has definitely been leaning into the trashing cards from your hand kind of archetype, or I don't know how to really say it, but that is the idea for him, and he gets a lot of value for that. Like Demi-Marimon only gets 1 card draw, but Sunomon you can guarantee more card draw, which I think is really, really nice. Next up, we're going into Impmon. This is really the only rookie that caught my eye, but it has an on play. You may trash 1 card in your hand. If you do, return 1 Digimon card with 7 Great Demon Lords or 3 Musketeers in its type from your trash to your hand. Lilithmon is a 7 Great Demon Lords, so being able just to hard cast this for 3, get a Lilithmon from your trash into your hand is great, but also you trash a card in your hand, so even if you don't have Lilithmons in there, you can trash a Lilithmon, put it in there, activate the effect, put it back, but then you can also trigger any of your effects that trigger based on trashing a card as well. So I like the flexibility of this card. You probably run it just, I wouldn't play a full 4, but play a couple of it, and it can be really helpful for just activating your effects on a card, which is nice. Next up, we've got a couple new champions. So first, we got Ogremon. So on play, you may trash 1 card in your hand to delete one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. This is pretty good in a lot of ways because it's just, being able to hard cast for 5 and not have to discard more than just 1 card. Like if you look at Chimeramon, where you have to pop something on your board, which can be kind of expensive sometimes, ditching a card from hand is universally less expensive for that, and you also can get some additional boost depending on what's on your board as well. So I really like this card. You have to kind of build around that idea, but even just going for that can be very, it will dissuade your opponent from raising from their area, which can be really nice for you. You also have this Kinkuamon, Ginkuamon, and Ginkuamon promote line, which I didn't think was good at all. I thought this was kind of gimmicky, but seeing it in play and trying it myself, I was wrong about this for sure. So they are all champions. Kinkuamon is when attacking, you may trash 1 card in your hand to delete one of your opponent's level 3 or 1 level 3 Digimon, which is great. Ginkuamon is once per turn, when you trash a card in your hand using one of your effects, you gain 1 memory. And then Ginkuamon Promote says it has Rush. It has, and then on play, you may place 1 Kinkuamon and 1 Ginkuamon from your trash in this card's evolution cards in any order. If you do place 2 cards with this effect, if you place 2 cards with this effect, draw 1 and gain a memory. So that's just huge. And spoilers, if we're able to play this guy for free, which we will be able to, not only do we get Rush, but if we meet all the, activations for it, we actually get the card draw and the memory boost too. Ginkuamon I think is the better one as well, just because he's able to once per turn gain memory once per turn for doing the stuff you're probably already doing as well. So this is a really good chain. The only thing that's terrible about it is that they can be kind of clunky, and normally your champion spot is where you put your blockers, so I think it can make it a little bit tight for that, but if they go off really, really well, and they feel kind of undefeated in a lot of ways. So I like this chain a lot, and I think it has a lot of power. Honestly, just playing Ginkuamon is just great because it has Rush, the promote one, which I think in a lot of Lilithmon decks was severely missing, some kind of push for game based on doing your things, and I think Ginkuamon promote can really help that. Next up, going into our new ultimates, we have the Skull Greymon and the Rebellionmon. So the Rebellionmon is when Digivolving, you trash 1 card in your hand to have this Digimon gain blocker and retaliation until the end of your opponent's next turn, and then also all turns this Digimon is also treated as black. So obviously you can see some synergy with that. So with Rebellionmon, you can trash a card, and if you Digivolve on top of a Ginkuamon, that means that this can now be a Digivolution for 2, and then you can go up on top of that too. Also, the fact that this card gains blocker and retaliation just means that if you Digivolve on top of it again, the card on top also has blocker and retaliation, which is great for a lot of decks that you really want to do that for. So I like that idea. I think it's really, really cool. And this Rebellion Mon honestly is just one of my favorite cards from this set. It's just so flexible in what it's doing, and it has a lot of cool interactions with a lot of cards. You also have Skull Greymon, so when you trash this card from your hand using one of your effects, you may place it under one of your purple Digimon at the bottom of the Devolution cards. And then also when attacking, you may trash one card from your hand to gain this, to have this Digimon gain plus 3k DP for the turn. So this can be a 10k if you need it to be, and then also you get to proc a lot of effects with it as well. And also it has retaliation as a source, so it's fantastic. You can give, obviously the idea is you can pitch this card from your hand, put it underneath one of your blockers, and now you have a blocker retaliation. That feels really, really good. So I like both these cards at what they're doing, and I think they can both go into different routes if you need them to. And then we also have Titamon as our new Mega that caught my eye. So when Digivolving, trash one card from your hand, then you play one level 4 lower Digimon card from your trash without paying its memory costs. So obviously this can be very good with the Kinkuamon Promote, which means you can play this for free. It has Rush, and then also if you have a Kinkuamon and Ginkuamon, you can put it underneath it, and then you draw a card, you get the memory back, which could also mean that you can keep it on your turn, which is amazing. And then Titamon also has your turn. Once per turn, you trash a card in your hand using one of your effects. This Digimon gains plus 2k DP and security attack plus 1 for the turn. So since it gets it for the turn, if you Digivolve into perhaps a Zwart, you keep the plus and the security attack plus 1, which is great for what you're doing. And this card's a lot stronger than I thought it was too. I thought it was a little bit weak, especially, I don't know, for it to be a Digivolution cost of 4, it has to be pretty good in my mind. And seeing this play out and seeing the combos it has, it's definitely worth that extra memory for it. It's almost worth a 5, but I think 4 is a good sweet spot for it. And then we also have a couple of new tamers to consider as well. So we have the Sora and Mimi. This one is, I don't know, this one's alright, but if your opponent does have a level 4 or lower Digimon in play, you gain 2 memory. And also when one of your purple Digimons attacks, you may suspend this tamer to draw 1, trash 1, which just means that if this card's out, you can get some additional easy trash 1 effects as long as you swing with the purple Digimon every turn. So that's kind of good. And then also, I'd say like this is probably one of the easiest ones to play around. The if your opponent doesn't have a level 4 or lower Digimon in play, unless you're playing against Megazoo, if like 3 Musketeers is doing really well or something, like this Sora and Mimi can do well as like maybe a 1 or 2 of, because they're going to have a really hard time playing a level 4 or lower Digimon. But I think it's very rare when I actually can get this effect off, which is weird. And we also have the Manoa, and this is strictly because it's a tamer that sets your memory to 3 at the start of every one of your turns, and it's white. It's the first one of those, and if you know the kind of Lilithmon deck, you want to have a white tamer out just so you can use your extra card to go into your Zwart. So I feel like she's worth considering. Obviously the rest of it is all Ezomon stuff, so or Eosmon, so that doesn't affect this list at all, but it's something to consider. And then we also have some new options. So when you trash this card in your hand, Underworld's Call. So when you trash this card from your hand using one of your effects, you can trigger draw 1, and then main you can play 1 purple level 4 or lower Digimon for your trash without paying its memory cost. So obviously you can get a Rush, the Rush dude, and then you can gain a memory, draw a card if you have the cards underneath it, and then you have a Rush, which is really, really nice. And then Underworld's Call is the same thing. You can just activate the main of being able to play something, which means you can play, once again, you can play the guide to gain a memory to switch it to your turn, which can be game ending. You can get a blocker out when your opponent's not expecting it to. I think all that's very strong. We have Glaive Memory Boost and also the other purple Memory Boost. Both of them they're kind of like the opposites of each other. So Glaive Memory Boost, return 1 purple Digimon card from your trash to your hand and place this card into your battle area. And then also the other one has look top 4 cards of your deck for a purple Digimon, add it to your hand, and then put it into your battle area. So both of them can pop at the same time, but the one on the right is just way better early game, and like Glaive Memory Boost is really good late game. So it's really where you're finding your weakness. Are you finding weakness and starting your matches? Or are you finding weaknesses like end game, not finding your pieces, like wanting to recycle your pieces more? So those are the new options for this, and let's go into the example deck list I have. Alright, so here is the list for you guys. Don't be surprised that the list you see now is different than what the link in the description says. I've been tinkering with this deck a lot, and it's just honestly such a tight list, and for everything that you want to do with it, that I've been just tinkering with it a lot because of that. So I think that means there's room for you to make your own adjustments and your own personal choices in a lot of ways, and you just choose what's important to you in so much. So that's kind of the idea of this, but we're going to just start going with it. I think the most important thing for this is I really like Ginkuamon being able to gain a memory once per turn. I think this is a very solid ability, especially since this can make Digivolution into a Lady Devimon or Rebellumon, since both of these trash a card when they Digivolve into a Digivolution cost of 2, which is insane. Lady Devimon, you're able to draw a card, then draw 2, discard 2, but also, draw a card for Digivolving, you draw 2, discard 2, but then also you gain a memory back, and then also with Sunamon, if you have the right eggs, it's just great. So Sunamon means you actually draw 3, discard 2, and then draw another one, so it's 4-2, that's +2 card advantage, which is great. And then also kind of Rebellumon, the same kind of thing, making this a Digivolution cost of 2, which means that it could be easier to keep it on your turn, and if you keep it on your turn, you can further Digivolve into a Titamon or a Lilithmon, which will be able to keep the blocker and retaliation. So now you have a 12k blocker that has retaliation on your opponent's turn, which is an absurd amount of value in my mind. This also lets you play like a level 4 if you drop it or 2, so it could be Ginkuamon Promote, which could also get you a draw 1 and a memory boost if you have the extra cards underneath there. I think that's just like kind of the whole cycling, and there's just a bunch of possibilities for that in a lot of ways. So I like the idea for this in general, and so kind of just going through the eggs and everything else. So are the rookies. We've got Gazimon. We have 3 Gazimon. I think this card is going to be just more and more important as we go on. More decks have ways to gain memory, including ourselves, so being able to have kind of a stopgap for that can be very good, and we can play it for free off of the Titamon or the Omnimon Zort if that's what we need to play it against. We also have a Labramon, which you just, and Immon's kind of the same thing. Both these cards you just hard cast for 3, you get a trash effect for it, and then that means you can proc any of your trash effects that you need to. Gobblemon's also the same kind of thing too. You swing to activate its effect, and you get to draw 1, discard 1, and when you discard 1, you get to activate all your effects once again, which is great. Which includes like a Titamon. Like, since this effect is not, your turn once per turn, you can trash a card from your hand to gain a security attack plus 2k at the same time. This can just be very helpful for what you're doing, and it's great at that. We've kind of talked about this. We're doing a 3-4-3 split. I think this is the most important one, so we're doing that. If you guys don't think so, you can change that. You can maybe even do a 2-4-3 split, because Ginkuamon is nice. And honestly, the best part about it is being able to get the memory boost and the draw from the promote, but it's not super necessary in my mind for this. This is the weakest one of the 3. So if you want more room for another Devimon, or even just spaces somewhere else, because we're already running 12 level 4s, so which is kind of hefty when we only run 13 level 3s. But there is that. We've talked about these guys. I really like Skull Greymon, and I want to test this card out more. There could be a big argument that Black War Groundmon is just better than it, especially with, you can unsuspend it, which means that you can get another swing, which also means that your Titamon can do 4 damage by itself. But I don't like the idea of making just such a big glass cannon and losing through security sometimes. That's not my playstyle. So we're going Skull Greymon just because it's great at what it does. And then also, it has an attacking, so you can reduce to trash something. So this could be a 10k. And honestly, just to the effects, you can have a rookie out, you can put this underneath it, and then have the rookie swing into something and it dies, is, I think, a lot of value for this card too. So that's kind of what I like about it, and we can kind of go, that's just honestly why I chose it. So we have that, and then we have 2 Omnimon Zords, a Zackery, a Mega Digimon Fusion, and then the Purple Memory Boost, and 3 Takumi. We aren't focusing on this from Mega Digimon Fusion as much as I'd say more traditional Lilithmon Loop deck does, strictly because we don't have enough room for it, right? And we already have enough bricks for what we're doing. And so I just wanted it to be more of an option. We get so much cycle from this deck that finding a Digimon Fusion and the Zord isn't terrible. And we also get enough memory boost in this game that playing this and keeping it your turn isn't impossible to do either, which is really, really nice. Especially because just playing this card and having the Ginkuamon with the 2 of these guys underneath it means that this is already a devolution cost of 5. You can use Zackery to increase it from there. And we also play the purple memory boost just to be able to help gain more memory later on as well. This can be very nice at doing that. And you know, even just Lilithmon into this dude can be super easy. So you have Lilithmon out, you have 2 Zackeries. So that's already, you know, guaranteed 5 memory to do it, because we're going to assume you have 10 memory in there. So each Zackery does 10, and then or does 1, and then sorry, it's 4 memory because Lilithmon. So that's enough to jump up to 4 memory on your turn, which means if you passed over, you have 1 on your turn, so you have 5 memory. And if you have Omnimon Zort and you play the Kukumon Promote with the 2 cards underneath it, that gains another memory back, which means it's at 5, which means it's still your turn. Anyways, I think that's strong enough for what it is, and we don't need 2 Mega Digimon Fusions or 2 Mega Takumis. I think 3 is fine for what we're doing, especially since we want to be able to prevent our opponent from being too aggressive towards us as well, just because he, you know, we don't have a lot of blockers. We do have, that's part of the reason I like Rebellionmon too, because it is a blocker if we need it to be a blocker, so it can be helpful in that regard too. But this is my copy of the list. It's going to be different than your copy of the list, which means I'd love to see your copy of your list with Lilithmon, what changes you guys want to make, and what cards you think that should be included that just simply aren't in mine. But that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it.